Hi everybody, it's a beautiful Saturday. I'm out on the doors today, but I wanted to take a minute to talk about how and why reproductive choice absolutely is on the ballot this election. I've heard some people try to claim that it's not on the ballot, that it's not up for debate. We have a constitutional right to reproductive freedom here in Minnesota, and while that's true, I want to explain why this election is so important in making sure that that right stays here with us in Minnesota. Prior to 1973, Minnesota had a statute on the books criminalizing abortion, both for those who received it and those who provided it. That changed with the Roe versus Wade decision in 1973. And our constitutional right to reproductive choice here in Minnesota starts with the Roe decision and culminates in a series of decisions through the Minnesota Supreme Court to the 1995 Doe versus Gomez decision. And in Doe versus Gomez, the Minnesota Supreme Court held that the citizens of the state of Minnesota have a constitutional right to have an abortion, finding that it was a fundamental right protected by the right of privacy that was found in the State versus Gray court case in 1987. So why that's important is this. It's all based on the reasoning of the Roe decision. Roe decided in the United States Supreme Court that the United States Constitution grants a right of privacy for fundamental rights, and one of those fundamental rights is the right to have an abortion. Our case law here in Minnesota follows that logic and reasoning, and again in 1995 found that one of our fundamental rights, subject to the right of privacy under the Minnesota Constitution, was the right to have an abortion. Why this is important is because we had the Dobbs decision occur this year, 2022, in which the United States Supreme Court held that Doe got it wrong. There is no fundamental right to an abortion that's protected by any right to privacy under the Constitution. Therefore, there is no fundamental right or protected right to have an abortion under the United States Constitution. It turned Roe on its head. The same thing can happen here in Minnesota. We are only one Minnesota Supreme Court decision away from having that right taken away from us. Why that's important in terms of this election is because our Supreme Court justices here in Minnesota are selected by the governor, and the laws are made by the legislature. So it's important that you elect folks that will preserve our right to reproductive freedom, preserve our right to reproductive choice, and not move us backward to 1973, where we criminalize abortion again. Have a great Saturday. I'll see you out at the doors.